Morning, everyone. It's Thursday, December 11th, and we're here live. Mind over matter, global online franchise. Glad you're here. I'm happy to be here. I was having some interesting conversations with some, uh, you know, fellow global online franchise members, and I had some interesting sort of, I don't know what to call it, epiphany, because um, it didn't change the course of what I'm doing, but it certainly was like an aha type moment where, you know, as Alec Herring has put together such a fantastic um, system here. He also has put together a great team of leaders to help with the process, right? And if I don't say so myself, I'm part of that team. But anyway, it's a great group, and one of the things I like about the group is that we meet at least once a week, if not more often, and we discuss just things that Alec wants to see changing and or improved, or how can we better support the group, etc. Things of that nature. And one of the things that comes up often is just that there's so many members that are part of the Facebook group, but they never speak up. There's members that don't even join the Facebook group and go off and have all kinds of crazy success. And it's not that we're looking for people to shout from the mountaintops, although that is also a very awesome thing. Celebrating success is part of the pillars of success. Let me take a quick sip of my coffee here. But I think there's more to it than just going off and doing your own thing, or and it's not the ones that go off and do their own thing and have success. Those ones certainly are not the specific group of people that we're looking to support, because they already have the mindsets of for success, because they're often having success. It's the ones that quietly struggle, right? They don't say anything in the Facebook groups. They kind of watch the Facebook group, if they're in there at all, and they just they're we're looking for that perfect piece of information that's going to send them over the top, so that they can have this amazing ascent to success. And there's the other group that doesn't participate in the Facebook group and quietly goes out and does their thing, and doesn't have any success, or the success is really slow, or it's not at the pace that they expected. So then they tend to drop off or quit, or not give it its full attention. So the thing that came to my mind when we were having one of these conversations, and the aha moment, was what I see from people who have the ones that are quieter to Global Online Franchise or the Academy of Online Success, both of which, because the Academy, I am actually a part of the faculty and part of the co-founding team of the Academy of Online Success. So so I've seen similar attributes at the Academy that I've also seen with the people that I've brought to the Global Online Franchise, and B, the ones that I'm helping support through my commitment to Alec. So pardon me. And what I'm seeing is, so I've made some notes here, as you can see notes, because it was just a topic that I thought was, I didn't want to really forget anything. So forgive me if I haven't glanced down and take a quick peek at my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. So so what are advertising? So okay, let's go back to Global Online Franchise. So we're doing our advertising, and we're attracting marketers, we're attracting newcomers, we're attracting essentially, there's the three people that I'm looking for. Is like we're attracting newcomers that have never been on the internet before, or are very new, within 3 to 6 months. So they really still are learning. Two, the experienced marketers that have been in the business for probably around 6 months or maybe a year, have had a little bit of success, but nothing to skyrocket them to fame. Certainly no residual income. So if they stop doing it, it stops paying them. So that's kind of opposite of what we're trying to accomplish, especially once you move into the academy. That's definitely residual income is a huge part of that training. Now, the other group is people who are very experienced and have been in this business for more than 2 years or more than a year even, and have had no success. They've tried everything. They've tried 100 different programs, and none of the programs work, which we all know isn't true. It's not the program that doesn't work. So, because it's a mindset, right? Remember, this is mind over matter, and it's all about talking about mindset. And today's topic, based on what I've just explained, is it's the mindset of a learner. Do you possess the mindset of a learner? We need to be intentional learners. That's a big phrase. Intentional learners. Learning isn't something that just happens, right? I mean, they've done studies after study after study that shows that people that leave post-secondary education or high school, the studies, one's after high school, one's after post-secondary, that the average adult doesn't read anything beyond their schooling. So the only reading they do for learning, which is intentional, is based around the structure of school or higher learning. And what are they teaching you in school? It's nothing but garbage anyway. They're not teaching you how to run a business, and they're not teaching you how to have wealth, and they're not teaching you how to have walkaway income. They're not teaching you about residual income. They're not teaching you about any of that stuff. But that's where people read. So and I've mentioned this before about reading books and audios and that kind of thing. Being an intentional learner is critical. You have to intentionally plan to learn every single day. So what I've noticed, long story short, big, long, drawn out process, what I'm finding is that there are so many people who are coming to the Global Online Franchise and the Academy of Online Success with the attitude, mindset of I've been there before. They have the experience, but they haven't had really any much success. There's certainly not any of that residual success, as I mentioned. And what I'm seeing is the problem is the mindset that they bring is, oh, I know how to do this, right? Or yeah, I've done this before. Not in a way that they think that the Global Online Franchise isn't any good. Not in a way that they're sitting there going, oh yeah, this is crap. I know how to do this. This is crap. No, this is what a waste of time. Not like that. Those people are a whole different ball of wax, and they got a lot more mindset issues than this. Because the person who's come to GOF with I think that a lot of times when people think about mindset in from the reference of what I'm talking about, or professional speakers that are like the Anthony Robbins of the world, or John Maxwell, the guys that go up there and speak, they call them motivational speakers, which is an awful term, but or they'll call them they're the positive people, like they only talk about positive mindset. Anthony Robbins will say flat out that he's not a motivational speaker, and he's not a if you just think positive, your life will be perfect. I mean, he'll tell you flat out, I've heard him say it 1,000 times, that if you just go to your garden and say there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, you're going to have a garden full of weeds, because there's weeds in the garden. You can't just say there are no weeds and the weeds go away. It doesn't work like that. And he'll be the first to admit that, because if you thought that just saying things, being positive all the time is going to make your world perfect, it's not. It's not going to work. It'll make you probably be happier. I'll give you that. But I mean, if you have visions of higher goals and achieving greater successes, you're going to need a little more than that. But it's a good start. So I'm talking about the people that come to the Global Online Franchise or the Academy, and they have a great attitude. They have a positive approach to what they're doing. But when they get to the training, they have a tendency to, like I said, use the phrase, "Oh, I know how to do this. Yeah, I've done this before," and uh, they have these massive blinders on. It's like they got the most crazy tunnel vision ever. It's just like, yeah, no, okay, because what they're doing is they're looking for that little nugget of information that they don't already have, right? They they watch a video. Okay, I know how to do that. I don't need to watch this one. So they gloss right over it, right? They come to this whole thing with some unsuccessful experience, is what I like to call it. It's experience, but it hasn't given them any success yet. They use that experience like it's a knowledge base. Well, it's a knowledge base on how to be unsuccessful. So it is a knowledge base, correct? But it's one on how to be unsuccessful. And the mindset that they come to a new project with has to be void of the unsuccessful experience you've had thus far. Not completely void, because the unsuccessful experience is good for teaching you what mistakes not to make next time. So it's important that it's there, but it shouldn't be driving the bus. Unsuccessful experience is archived to prevent you from making the same mistakes more than once. Unsuccessful experience isn't running the show. Otherwise, all you're going to do is have more unsuccessful experiences, right? Let me just check my notes, see where I'm at. Okay, so what a mindset of I've already know how to do this. What it accomplishes is it accomplishes nothing really, because what it accomplishes is it sets your mind in a place where that prevents you from learning something new, because you're just not open-minded. Like I've mentioned this before about how a mind is very much like a parachute, and it only really works when not really, it only works when it's open. Parachute doesn't work unless it's open. Pretty much you just plummet to your death, right? So you're plummeting to your death if you don't have an open mind when it comes to, especially when it comes to learning new skills and business techniques. If you don't have an open mind, plummeting to your death. So what'll happen is, with a mindset of like this, when you're approaching learning a new skill or approaching a new challenge, what'll happen is you essentially will gloss over, the videos that you're watching, the words that are written in following the video, and you go looking for all those little tiny pieces of the puzzle. The pieces that you don't have, the ones that you think are the missing links to your success. Well, the missing link is probably the entire process, and it's not the actual one piece this is literal suicide. You've got the Global Online Franchise here that's been put together by an exceptional it's put together exceptionally well, and in a way that, should you follow it, you're going to have success. But I see it time and time again in the Facebook group. I get private messages. I have conversations on Skype. If somebody's saying, "Well, I went and did this, and I don't I'm not sure if it's going to work," or I got really bad results, and they went off and did something that isn't in the plan, that isn't in the 30-day guide, that isn't talked about by myself or Alec or Paul or Stephen or Ralph or Kevin. Pardon me. So these things are not being done by the people who are having the most amount of success. Yet off they go and go do it. I'm not suggesting that you can't go do your own thing. However, I am suggesting that if you've never had success with something, if you've done a certain type of marketing and it's never yielded success, I highly recommend that you don't do it until you've mastered all the skills that the Global Online Franchise is trying to teach you, and possibly wait until you've moved on to the Academy of Online Success and learn some more skills. And then if you want to go back and tinker with what you used before, I'm going to bet you won't, because you've already made a whole bunch of money over here. Why would you go back over here? But just saying. Certainly don't be jumping into doing things that are completely new to you. You've never done them before. Don't do them now if they're not in the list, because we can't support you. Well, how do I write my ad for this? I'm like, I don't know. I've never done it. You're going to have to figure that all out for yourself, and then you can report back to me so that I know how. Maybe I'll go do it. If you have awesome success, maybe I'll go do it. I've done that. I come across somebody who's having some crazy success, and I've never done the skill set. I've never used the skill that they're using. I inquire. I ask questions. I find out what they do. And I think to myself, do I want to do that? Would I see myself doing that? Yes, of course it has success, but that doesn't mean I'm going to run out and do it. Right? It has to work for me. I mean, I already have things that I'm doing that are successful, so I don't want to really change the plan too much. But anyway. So part of the reason why I came to this place of wonder about, the mindset of a learner and the mindset of the people coming to the Global Online Franchise, was that I think back to a time when a student of mine, her and I were having a conversation about the success she had been having, and I inquired. I said, I mean, is this the first time you've had this kind of success? And she said, yeah. She'd done a bunch of different things. She'd had a little bit of success here and there, enough to keep her in the game, so to speak. Nothing nothing horrific had been happening where she felt like she needed to toss in the towel and just go back to whatever she was doing. I mean, this is a woman who's retired, so she wasn't working at a regular job, so she had the time to dabble a little bit with this and that. So this was a student of mine from the Academy of Online Success. And so as we talked a little bit more, and she started to open up about she decided she wanted to sort of come clean because she had an interesting story to tell me, and it was based on the fact that when she first approached the Academy, she had this exact mindset that I had just been talking about, that she already knew how to do that. She knew how to do this. She knew how to do that. Da 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 da. And things weren't working. Pardon me. Sorry about that, guys. Pardon me. Try to carry on here. Sorry. So she had come to the table with a mindset that she already knew what was going on and what we were doing here. Pardon me. I do apologize. I don't know what happened there, but okay. So carrying on, she had come to the table with a mindset of how she would go about her learning, and she already knew most of this stuff. So she, to her own admission, and where some of these words come from for me, is she glossed over things and just skimmed when she read. So her admission to me was that when things really started to take off, when things started to really accelerate, when her ascent was exponential, was when she made a very specific decision. So she's attributing her success to a decision. Interesting. What would making a specific decision be? It would be a mindset shift. She shifted her mindset from, I know everything, or not everything, but I know what they're talking about. I already know. I know. I've got knowledge. I'm experienced. I know. To, I have no idea what they're talking about. She went into she stopped what she was doing. All of the marketing she was doing, she stopped it all, and decided that she wanted to have a clean slate and approach the Academy and the videos and the training and the webinars and everything that was available at the Academy. She wanted to approach it with a clean slate, trying to look at it through the eyes of a newcomer, someone who had never looked at this stuff before, never done any marketing online before, never had any experience. That's what she was trying to accomplish. Well, let me tell you, when she approached the videos that way and she started taking notes and listening closely to what was being said and following the instructions as they came to her, she didn't jump ahead because she knew she would get to a certain point before, okay, they're talking about this, okay, pause the video, go do a bunch of stuff, then come back and then have to advance the video till it caught up to what she had already gotten done. This time she just step by step. Video said, take left foot in front of the right. Pause the video, put the left foot in front of the right. Play the video. Okay, it says now put the right foot in front of the left. She put the right foot in front of the left. Pause the video. Or she just followed it every step. So where she ended up was having the most success she had ever had online. And it wasn't specifically from the training, that I specifically gave her, as the teacher. Although she does give me credit for some things, I still give her all the credit because she has to be the one who does the credit. She did all the work. We don't live in the same city. She lives on the East Coast. I live in the East Coast of the U.S. and I live in the middle of Canada. So it's not like we could just meet for coffee and I could, do her homework for her. She had to do all the work. But I wasn't willing to just, I stayed with her. That's kind of how it works. But, we talked regularly, but she did all the work and she approached things differently. And she did it without telling me. She just went ahead, and this was a decision she made. I didn't say, what you need to do? You need to clean your head out of all that garbage and just listen to what's being said. I didn't go through that. She made the decision. She made the mindset shift to say, look, I need to look at this from the perspective of a new person. And I'm astounded with the amount of progress she made, because it was like a rocket, right? So I think the magic here, everyone's always looking for the magic, the easy button, how do I make money spit out of my computer, that kind of thing. Well, if there is magic, the magic of what I would call magic would be, well, how do I put it? If you can approach something without the attachment of what you already know, and that's not an easy task, but it is what I think the missing piece of the puzzle. You want to know the missing piece? You're looking for that missing piece of the puzzle? Stop thinking you know what you're doing. It's not that I don't think you have any skills. If you're coming to something new, there was another in the book, The E-Myth. They talk about they talk about a lot of really awesome stuff. Probably one of my favorite books of all time. But one of the things that really captured my attention in that book, and I didn't even relate it to this topic till much later, but it really hammers home the point. When hiring new employees, or hiring employees for your business, or hiring the best employees to hire, and I never really thought about this till after I read this book. It is so true. The best employees to hire are the ones with no experience. Now, many schools of thought are the exact opposite. The mindset is, find somebody who's got 10 years experience, and they'll be able to walk through the door and boom, they're your best employee. Actually, they're probably going to be your worst employee. Why? Because they bring their 10 years of experience, 10 years of habits, 10 years of routine, 10 years of knowledge, 10 years of experience, 10 years of whatever it is that's going on in their head. And they try and impose that experience into your environment. And your environment already has routines, already has, now maybe your business needs a fresh approach. That might work then, but at the same time, if you have a finely oiled machine, something that's producing profits like crazy, and it's just chugging along, but profits are getting bigger, sales are getting higher, you need more people. Well, don't hire somebody with 10 years experience. They're coming in, they're trying to change everything. Why? Because they have experience, and their mindset is that experience is what's going to move them forward. When a 10-year pro should walk into a new environment and say, okay, somebody teach me like I've never done this before. And then I'm going to do everything like you guys do so that we can have more success. That person would be invaluable to you because their learning curve would be this big because they have 10 years experience. So the 10 years experience would come into play in the learning curve. But if they come in and they try and run the joint, you're screwed. You're going to want to get rid of them. Someone off the street. Let's let's call it a let's use a trade for an example. Like a mechanic or a baker or a plumber or something of that nature, some sort of trade. And you hire let's say you own a bakery and you hire a baker who's got 15 years experience, da 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 da. Well, he comes in, he wants to show you how to make bread, he wants to do this, he wants to do that. Although you guys have routines in place, no, you gotta change it, do it this way, do it this way. Person who comes out of bakery school, culinary school, whatever school it is for bakery, I don't know, I'm not a baker. That person who has knowledge about baking and the things that go on in a bakery, they've never actually worked in a bakery. So what are they going to do when they come to your bakery? They have the knowledge. They know how to make bread. They went to school. They know how to do it, right? They're going to attach themselves to the routines and methods and strategies and ideologies that you already have in place in your business. That's what they're going to do. They don't know anything more, right? But it's the same concept that when you want to learn, if you are on the other side and you want to learn something new and you have experience, you've got to learn how to shave all that crap out of your head and just get to business of learning the routines, methods, strategies, skills. Paul Birdsall has said 1,000 times, he's creating a clear path for you to run on. And it just makes sense when you think of it like that. You know, here at Global Online Franchise, Alec Herring has cleared the path and has said, here, run here. Smooth pavement. There's no pebbles, no rocks, no ruts, no holes. Run right here, and we'll get you there. And every now and again, you get these guys that show up and say, no, I've run before. I've done this before. And then you're like, well, that path looks nice and clear, but I think if I go over there, because, you know, I've done that before. I'm going to go over here because I've done this. So then they end up running through the tall grass and running in potholes, spraining their ankles. And they're like, oh, this is hard. This online stuff is hard. No, this global online franchise does not work. Why didn't you just run on the path? Or you run on the path with blinders on and you don't see all the knowledge that were the signs with the knowledge. You don't see any of them. So I think that it's extremely powerful decision to make. You have an important decision to make here. You have to clear your mind. You have to approach your knowledge, your learning intentionally. If you've come to GOF and you're new here and you are learning, or actually, if you're new here, just follow along, go to the 30-day guide and just do what it says. If you're an experienced marketer and you've never had residual success, meaning that you could stop working and you're going to still get paid, and if you're a perpetual company flipper, like you just keep jumping from company to company, hold on for a minute. Please head back to the very beginning, the Getting Started tab in the Global Online Franchise, and approach it like you've never marketed before. It's going to be the most challenging task that I could ever ask you to do because it is so hard to shelf knowledge that you already have in your head. Because the moment you start to learn something that you already have some working knowledge of, that working knowledge will quickly come running to the coming to the forefront, trying to show, no, don't worry, we got this. Don't worry about watching that. You got it. If you hurry up, we can get to the end and make $1 bazillion. It's not a race, folks. If you hurry up and get to the end, you're going to miss all of the training. And it's the training that is being provided in the Global Online Franchise that is going to help you get the success you're looking for. But if your mindset is not prepared to be an intentional learner, then you will not have the success that you expect from Global Online Franchise. You won't have the success from anything that you try to do. The only time you're going to find success, whether it's here or in the next project or in the next company you join or wherever you end up, is it will be the moment that your mindset shifts to a place where you're prepared to be an intentional learner. If you're not prepared to shift that mindset, or you don't think you need to, not much more I can do for you at this point. Your mindset must change. Your mindset must shift to a place where you're an intentional learner. Silence is golden sometimes. I like to give people an opportunity to think for a minute. It's think about it like this. If you were, think of a child. They're intentional learners. They do things specifically to learn something. They don't know that, but they do it anyway. If you ever spend any time with a child while they're in this stage of learning, it's quite miraculous to watch. They never feel overwhelmed. You never see a 3-year-old just in the middle of their whatever it is they're doing and just go, holy crap, I'm overwhelmed. There's way too much information coming to me. There's way too much. I'm learning way too much too fast. There's too much. It's just too much. Doesn't happen. Why? They're not afraid to learn something new. They're not trying to learn everything. They get pretty focused on that one thing that they're playing with and what they're doing. They're trying to learn how to walk. They're trying to learn how to talk. They're trying to learn their colors, their numbers. I mean, parents are pounding their heads full of crap nonstop. I mean, I've had my kids. I know I've done it. Here, learn this, learn this. Let's read this book. You're going to be a genius. I want you to be the smartest kid in the class. I mean, you need to, here, let's just sum this up because I see it's what, 9:36, so we're pushing our envelope on how long this is going to get. The summary is this. We have a large number of people in the global online franchise. There's a very small percentage that actually participate in the Facebook group, which is okay. The concern that I have is that those that are quiet, the ones that are quiet, are the ones that are experienced in the internet marketing world. So they've come to us with a knowledge base, an unsuccessful knowledge base, and rather than try to learn from the ground up, they're trying to start on the 4th or 5th floor, or in the marathon, they're trying to start at mile 6, 7, or 8, and then trying to figure out how they can get to the end without having to do all the running. You have to start at the starting line, and you have to be open to learning. You need to have a mindset of a learner, which essentially is being an intentional learner. There is a lot of really, really, really good information in the global online franchise. But if you can't get your ego out of the way, it's going to take you down. That's the bottom line. I think that's probably the best summary. Some of you are probably listening to this and thinking, well, no, that's not me. I didn't do that. But I promise you, if someone like my student was willing to come to me and tell me that they did exactly what I just described, I promise she wasn't the only one, isn't the only one, won't be the only one. And she also did it silently, but because her and I built a relationship of trust, she was willing to give me that information at a later date, of course, which only solidifies my concern that there are many, many of you, let's call it suffering in silence, because you're not achieving the success that you expected as quickly as you'd like, and you think it's the problem of the global online franchise. It's not. But the only way we're really going to get you to see that is by moving backwards to the beginning without any stigmas of what you already know. You've got to shed it all. You got to start clean. Wipe that slate. Go to the chalkboard. Wipe off everything. It's all gone. Clean. Just one big. You know what? In fact, go to the sink. Wet the cloth so that you can wipe down the chalkboard. So it is clean, clean. Not that white, hazy, dusty clean. Like, I mean, clean, clean. Like you know nothing. Like today was the first day you turned on your computer. That's the kind of mindset you need to bring to a learning opportunity. It's like you've never turned on your computer before. Everything's there. Go get it. Have the mindset of a learner. I challenge you to start from the beginning and go step by step by step. What's the worst that could happen? You could have success. I think that's a phrase. Yeah, you know what? It's funny. That's a phrase that a mentor of mine had once told me, and I've written it down. It's written right on my whiteboard over here. It says, if you want to try something new, ask yourself this question: what is the worst thing that could happen? And the answer to that question is, if it is something that you can accept, go for it. What's the worst thing that can happen if you go back to the beginning, trying to learn or trying to approach it with no knowledge? What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm going to go out on a limb and say the worst thing that could happen is that you waste some of your time. Yeah, are you willing to accept that? Yes or no? If the answer is no, well, then I guess we're at an impasse. But if the answer is, yeah, I can accept that. I mean, I will give it a shot anyway. Well, don't just give it a shot. Go at it honestly. Become an intentional learner. All right, guys. I could ramble on for probably another 20, 30 minutes on this topic because it is actually something that I have been thinking about for over a week that has been, no, about a week, I guess, sorry, that has been just rolling around in my head because I think it is such a critical component to the potential for. We've had a lot of great success stories of the global online franchise, and it's been amazing to watch and be a part of some of them. But I think there's so much more potential for so many more people to have success if they get out of their own way and approach this like the newborn babe and just open their mind up and take in the knowledge and be prepared to learn something new without assuming you already know how to do this or that. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you soon. We've got one more show before the holiday season, and that will be on the 18th. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye.